The thing that makes objective personality superior is what I'm about to tell you that will make you much better at typing. And Dave and Shan have said this for years, but I think it's really important to keep this as kind of the number one priority when we're typing. I think Dave and Shan have just gotten so good at this that they don't talk about it enough because it's just part of their process. But as someone else following in their footsteps and trying to learn this process, I have realized recently how much I forget this and how critical it is to typing accuracy. All right, so I want to talk to you guys about typing, how to type better, objectively, and why typing is not easy. So let's start with why typing is not easy. So the main premise of objective personality is that we don't see reality clearly, which is pretty obvious. I've talked about naive realism before, and as humans, we are subjective beings. This is why conflict exists. It's a lack of understanding between perspectives. So we should expect that typing would not be easy because typing requires us to see and understand the full spectrum of human experience. And this is not an easy task. To me, this is the most compelling part of objective personality because it really dials in on what objectivity is and seeing ourselves clearly and where we fit into the tribe. So the reason typing is not easy is because it requires to step outside of our ego to enough of a degree that we can objectively see others and see where we're fitting in the tribe. And that takes time, it takes reps. But I want to talk about an element that has really clicked for me. I've been trying to objectively type for 7 years. I've had some success on certain coins. Others have been more difficult for me. But as I've really dialed in on single coins and just focused on those and not gotten distracted with all the noise of trying to do too many, I've gotten some insights that I think are helpful. So when we start typing people, our brains are going to try and assess them from our subjective perspective. And I'll just tell you right now, it doesn't work. When Dave and Shan first started Objective Personality, this was the whole concept, was to use the perspective of another person to calibrate, right? Because with two people, you're not going to see the same thing. And Dave and Shan were able to use each other as a triangulating resource to really define terms. And Dave and Shan just so happened to be opposites in types, so it made the process more efficient. And so calibrating with them, you could calibrate with someone else and reinvent the wheel. But it's easier just to go into their celebrity archive and practice with the reps that they've already done. It's very easy, it's very simple. You can pull someone up and just start downloading these behaviors and really seeing what they are. With that being said, when we try to type people and we try to determine a coin with objective personality, we by default will always want to conclude on anecdotal behavior, meaning they did this, therefore they are this type. I witnessed this behavior, therefore they are this type. But it is true that everybody does everything. Everybody is doing everything. Everybody is doing thinking, feeling. Everybody is doing sensing, intuition. There is too much noise to type based on observing behavior. And if you watch every single other Myers-Briggs channel, every single other typology channel, this is the major pitfall. They are assessing people based on observed behaviors. The thing that makes objective personality superior is what I'm about to tell you that will make you much better at typing. And Dave and Shan have said this for years, but I think it's really important to keep this as kind of the number one priority when we're typing. I think Dave and Shan have just gotten so good at this that they don't talk about it enough because it's just part of their process. But as someone else following in their footsteps and trying to learn this process, I have realized recently how much I forget this and how critical it is to typing accuracy. It is the savior and demon state. Learning to see someone's baseline and learning to observe behaviors and interpret every single behavior in the context of a savior and demon state. So what is a savior and a demon state? Well, objective personality is looking for what really activates the nervous system. And so a savior state is a calm, confident, collected state. The nervous system is not activated. The nervous system is calm because it's running programs that it can almost do in its sleep.
Like, I'm the kind of person that thinks, I love health and fitness or something, and like, you know, a workout, I'll just write it. Or food, like, I'll just create a product and sell it. Like, I'm always thinking of doing it myself. Like, how do I take this on myself? How do I create the business for myself?
So you're going to see a confidence. You're going to see a smooth energy. You're going to see a non-activated energy. That's a savior state.
We're people who got into this line of work because we wanted people to like us, because we were intrinsically insecure, because we liked the sound of people clapping because it made us forget about how much we feel like we're not good enough. And I've been doing this for 15 years and I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of the... Just feels like it's more than music now at this point. And just most days I'm like, okay. But then sometimes I'm just like, it just gets loud sometimes.
Now, you've got to learn someone's baseline because everyone's baseline is different. So it's important to download each person individually and just consume enough content of them to see kind of what their baseline is. And then you can start interpreting the relative savior spikes and the relative demon spikes. Now, a demon state is lots of proving, trying to convince people.
I'm very well aware of like what everyone says about me, every single thing. And the difference between now and 3 years ago is I honestly don't care anymore. It's just like...
manic behavior, weird behavior, like like laughing, like you'll see all sorts of weird behavior in a demon state.
Does this come naturally to you, or is this something which like you've learned and you've just kind of just evolved over time? You know, putting yourself into situations which are uncomfortable and unscary, but hey, you do it.
I think it for good, for better or worse, it comes naturally. I've had my friends say, like, when you're told you can't do something, it's like I'm so ADD or hard-headed that I'm just like, when you say I can't, my mind doesn't hear I can. It just goes, oh, that means that nobody else is doing it. So perfect. I have no competition, right? Or very little competition.
In a demon state, you're going to see a more childlike aspect of someone. That's what's happening. It's not calm. It's not collected. It's insecure and it's childlike. If you can keep the savior demon goggles on while you're typing, I promise you are going to become a much better typer with objective personality. This is the number one most important part. If you don't, you're going to be constantly looking for behaviors, and you'll see behaviors and you'll land on the incorrect type because you may identify a savior state behavior or a demon state behavior, and you're not clarifying it enough to really be objective. The thing that has made objective personality consistent is that people cannot hide their savior and demon state. If you can learn what a savior state is and a demon state is and track it as you're watching and typing people, you're going to become much more consistent. So let me give you a practical example. And when you're learning to type or you're just practicing typing, work on just one coin for a couple months, even a year. So you can really start to see this. And if you do it, you're gonna see that it is very consistent, watching the savior and demon state. So let's take DI versus DE, okay? With DI and DE, what you're gonna see is that when someone's talking about themselves, they're either gonna be in a savior or demon state. If they're in a demon state, they're gonna be a little shaky, a little weird. You just have to learn to see this. You've got to download it. And you can do it by going into the doc, look at DEs and DIs, and go watch their behavior. Watch how a DI is when they talk about themselves. I'm savior DI. So when I start talking about Russ McCary, it's very calm, it's very smooth. If you go back and you watch my typing video that I submitted to Dave and Shan, I'm just like, yeah, and I'm good at this, and I'm not great at this, and it's very calm. It's not a big deal, because it's me. My inside world is organized, it's cleaned up. There's no stress in my nervous system when someone asks me to talk about myself.
I'm keeping it really, really cool. I'm keeping it cool as a cucumber.
It's easy. Now, if you ask me to talk about tribe, you're gonna see my system crash a little bit, and I'm gonna get kind of weird and afraid, and you're gonna see me go into that manic state. Okay, so you can cross-check my DI by saying, okay, he's in a calm state when he's talking about himself. Is he also in a weirder state relative to that state when he starts talking about other people? Right? So you're doing it's the contrast game. This whole typing game is the contrast game. Same thing with DEs. Go watch DEs in the typing doc. And what you're gonna see is, compared to when they're talking about other people in their lives, they're gonna be weirder talking about themselves. They're gonna have a harder time. The wires are gonna get crossed, and they're gonna get a little bit more overwhelmed talking about themselves. Now, everyone can do everything. You'll see DEs talking about themselves. You'll see DIs talking about the tribe. You're gonna see both. So if you're looking at behaviors, you're fucked from the start. You're not gonna be objective. But if you can start tracking the relative difference of what a demon and a savior state is, you are going to get so much more accurate. This is what I've been seeing clearly. I've been doing this 7 years, and still, so many times, I have been carried away by anecdotes and just seeing behavior. Oh, they did this, therefore they're this. That will never work with typing. So if you can start leveraging this in your typing behavior, put it on a sticky note on your computer. Look for savior and demon state. So watch a person for half an hour, just see what their baseline is. That's what Dave and Shan mean by see their baseline. Figure out what their average is. And then you can start to see the savior spikes and the demon spikes. And you're gonna use this math on every single coin. You're gonna use it on observer versus decider. You're gonna use it on DI versus DE. You're gonna use it on OI versus OE, S versus N, T versus F, all the animals, and the whole process, right? It is so easy when you're going down this list of coins to try and determine what you're seeing based on behavior. Don't get tricked by it. It's not about what you're seeing. It's about, are they doing this in a calm and collected state, or are they doing this in a manic, activated state? And you've got to watch them to figure out what their relative difference is as a person, and then compare them, to the baseline of everybody else in the tribe. So you're going to have to type a lot of people to do this, but this is going to get you way, way far ahead if you can just focus on this consistently. So I hope that's helpful. Typing is so hard because we're not biologically wired to track savior and demon states. We're biologically wired to just believe what people say and believe what we say, right? But becoming more aware is about starting to really pay attention to the details. So I hope this is helpful for you. The more you can incorporate this into every single coin, the more accurate you're gonna be. This is how Dave and Shan have typed objectively. They've gotten really, really good at learning to see someone's baseline and then catch people in their savior and demon states. Once you can do that, you'll start nailing people in typing. They can't hide. They can't hide. Once you can learn to identify what a savior and a demon state is and get good at that skill with all these different coins and really learn what it is for each coin, you're going to be much better at typing. So I hope this is helpful. This has been incredibly pivotal for me. 7 years in, I'm finally just like, oh, they've been saying this for years, but I didn't see it. I didn't commit my process to it. The feminine intuition probably doesn't help either. But lately it's been helping me see people a lot more clearly and land on what Dave and Shannon landed on. So, all right, hope this helps. We'll see you guys soon.